In 1960, a German factory worker kissed his wife goodbye in Buenos Aires. He never came home. His real name wasn't Ricardo Clement. It was Adolf Eichmann. He organized the Holocaust's trains. 3,000 miles away in Moscow, a Soviet agent crossed a name off a list. The list had 20,000 names, all SS officers, all marked for death. You know about Israeli agents catching Eichmann, but here's what you don't know. The Soviets had been hunting him for 15 years. They had files on every SS man who ever held a gun. They tracked them from Berlin's ashes to jungle hideouts in Brazil. They turned Holocaust survivors into hunters. They infiltrated the Vatican. They blackmailed American spies. This is the story nobody tells, the story of history's longest manhunt. May 8, 1945. Berlin burns. Hitler is dead. The Red Army controls the city, but Soviet soldiers keep finding mass graves, hundreds of them, thousands of bodies in each one. Women, children, entire villages. Therefore, Stalin gives a new order. Find every SS officer. Make them pay. A special unit called SMERSH takes charge. The name means death to spies. Their new mission, hunt the SS. Not arrest them, hunt them. Viktor Abakumov leads SMERSH. He's Stalin's executioner. He starts making lists. They raid Nazi headquarters. They find membership files, photos, home addresses. They interrogate prisoners for 12 hours straight. No sleep, no food, just names. By June, they have 250,000 names. Major Anatoly Novikov finds a mass grave outside Minsk, 3,000 bodies. He recognizes his sister's dress. She was 14. That night, he writes to Moscow, "Every name we cross off brings relief to our dead. I will not stop until the list is empty." The Soviets lost 27 million people in the war. That's one person every 2 seconds for 4 years. Whole cities vanished. In some villages, not a single man came home. The Americans want to rebuild Germany. The British want to go home, but the Soviets want blood. Therefore, while the West celebrates victory, Soviet hunters spread across Europe. They carry photos. They memorize faces. They begin the hunt. Here's what makes them different from every other Nazi hunter. They don't care about trials. They don't need evidence. They just need names. The SS men aren't stupid. They know what's coming. Within days of Hitler's death, they start running. They burn their uniforms. They steal dead men's papers. They grow beards. They become farmers, mechanics, priests. But they need help to truly disappear. Therefore, a Catholic bishop named Alois Hudal creates an escape network. He calls it Mercy for the Defeated. The Vatican gives him rooms, money, blank passports. The escape route runs like this. SS men reach Rome. Hudal hides them in monasteries. He gives them Red Cross papers with fake names. Ships take them to Argentina. The Catholic Church pays for everything. They call these routes Ratlines, like rats fleeing a sinking ship. Soviet agent Pavel Grishin infiltrates a Red Cross camp in Austria. He's pretending to be a refugee. He watches SS officers get new identities. He memorizes their faces, their new names, where they're going. He radios Moscow every night from a hidden transmitter in a barn. But here's where it gets complicated. The Americans are also in these camps. And they're not arresting SS men. They're recruiting them. Operation Paperclip. That's what the Americans call it. They want German scientists for their rocket program. They want SS intelligence officers to spy on the Soviets. Over 1,600 Nazis get American protection. New names, new lives, good salaries. Franz Stangl ran Treblinka death camp. He killed 900,000 Jews. The Americans know who he is, but they need his friend's rocket expertise. Therefore, they let Stangl walk free. He escapes to Brazil. The Soviets are furious. These are the same Americans who were allies 6 months ago. Now they're protecting mass murderers. Ivan Serov, Soviet intelligence chief, sends an encrypted message to all agents. The West has chosen sides. They protect fascists. We are alone in seeking justice. Act accordingly. The gloves come off. Soviet agents start kidnapping SS men from Western zones. They drag them across borders at night. No one ever sees them again. The Soviets realize they need help. They can't watch every port, every border, every monastery. But there are people who will never forget an SS face. People who saw those faces every day in hell. Therefore, they recruit the survivors. Alexander Pechersky led the only successful death camp uprising. At Sobibor, he helped 300 Jews escape. He killed 11 SS guards with an axe. Now the Soviets give him a new job: identify every guard who survived. Pechersky never sleeps well. He sees faces when he closes his eyes. But now those nightmares have purpose. He looks at thousands of photos. He remembers everything. The guard who loved his dog more than Jewish children. The officer who made people sing while digging their own graves. That one, he points. Karl Frenzel. He made my friend carry her dead daughter for 3 hours. He's calling himself Carlos Freeman now, living in Sao Paulo. The Soviets create a new system. They show survivors photos of suspected SS men. They record every detail survivors remember: scars, walks with a limp, missing finger, stutters when angry, smell of specific cigarette brand. But some survivors want more than identification. They want revenge. Enter Nakam. The Hebrew word means vengeance. Jewish partisans who lost everything form this secret group. Their plan: kill 6 million Germans, 1 for every murdered Jew. Abba Kovner leads them. The Nazis killed his entire family. He obtains poison from a chemist. In April 1946, his team infiltrates a bakery that supplies bread to an SS prisoner camp. They paint poison on 3,000 loaves. 2,000 SS men get sick. None die. The poison wasn't strong enough. Kovner flees to Palestine, but his message is clear. The survivors aren't just victims anymore. They're hunters too. The Soviets see opportunity. They secretly fund survivor groups. They share intelligence. They provide weapons. An underground network forms. From Moscow to Munich to Buenos Aires, information flows through hidden channels. A Holocaust survivor named Helena works as a secretary in Hamburg. She seems like a war widow, but she's a Soviet agent. One day, she sees her former guard buying groceries. The same man who killed her baby. She follows him home. That night, Soviet agents knock on his door. He's never seen again. Stalin is dead. The KGB replaces SMERSH. The Cold War freezes Europe in 2. But the hunt continues. It just gets more complicated. The KGB discovers something useful. SS officers make excellent double agents. They're already living fake lives. They're terrified of exposure. Perfect for blackmail. Eduard Roshman murdered 35,000 Jews in Riga. The Soviets find him in Austria, working for American intelligence. They give him a choice. Work for us, or we tell everyone who you really are, including the Israelis. Roshman chooses to live. He becomes a triple agent. He feeds the Americans fake intelligence. He tells the Soviets about CIA operations. He helps track down other SS officers, all to save his own skin. East Germany creates the Stasi in 1950. Their surveillance network becomes the most complete in history. 1 in 3 East Germans spies on their neighbors. Every letter is opened, every phone call recorded, every visitor photographed. Marcus Wolf runs Stasi foreign intelligence. His agents infiltrate West German government. They discover something shocking. Hans Globke, advisor to the West German chancellor, wrote the legal commentary for Hitler's race laws. He helped design the Holocaust's legal framework. The Soviets turned this into propaganda gold. They published Globke's Nazi documents worldwide. The message is clear. The West protects war criminals. The East brings justice. But the biggest propaganda victory comes with Klaus Barbie. The butcher of Lyon tortured and killed thousands of French resistance fighters. He personally murdered Jewish children. The Americans hire him to hunt communists in Bolivia. They pay him taxpayer money. They know exactly who he is. In 1971, the KGB leaks Barbie's location and American protection to French journalists. The scandal explodes. The Americans are humiliated. The Soviets score a massive victory without firing a shot. Therefore, the hunt becomes more than justice. It's a weapon in the Cold War. Every exposed Nazi in the West damages American credibility. Every captured SS man in the East proves communist superiority. The real challenge isn't in Europe anymore. It's 7,000 miles away in South America. Juan Perón loves Germans. His Argentina welcomes 10,000 Nazis. They get new identities, government jobs, police protection. They build German schools, German hospitals, German neighborhoods where Spanish is never spoken. Josef Mengele lives openly in Buenos Aires. He uses his real name. He's listed in the phone book. The angel of death, who experimented on twins at Auschwitz, now practices medicine again. The Soviets can't invade Argentina, but they have communist parties throughout South America. Therefore, they turn local communists into spy networks. Miguel Santos runs a taxi in Buenos Aires. He's also a Communist Party member. And now he's a Soviet asset. He drives through German neighborhoods. He photographs license plates. He records addresses. He notes routines. Who leaves for work when? Who meets whom? Which children attend which schools? In 1960, Santos spots something interesting. A bland man named Ricardo Clement never has visitors, never goes to German clubs, never drinks in German bars, too careful for a normal immigrant. Santos reports to his handler. The handler cables Moscow. Moscow checks their files. Ricardo Clement matches the description of Adolf Eichmann. The Soviets face a choice. Grab Eichmann themselves or let others know. They choose to leak the information to Mossad. Why? Because an Israeli kidnapping in Argentina will damage US-Argentine relations. The Soviets win either way, but not every hunt goes smoothly. Paraguay's dictator Alfredo Stroessner actively protects Nazis. He gives them ranches, government contracts, new identities whenever they need them. Soviet agent Viktor Kozlov infiltrates Stroessner's government. He spends 3 years as a forestry inspector. He maps Nazi colonies. He identifies 67 SS officers. He's 2 days from extraction when someone betrays him. They find Kozlov's body in a river. His fingernails are missing. His handler receives Kozlov's final report, written in invisible ink on a cigarette pack. Mengele left for Brazil. Following. The Soviets and Israelis sometimes cooperate, sometimes compete. Often, they ruin each other's operations. São Paulo. Soviet agents track Mengele to a pharmacy. They're ready to grab him, but Mossad is also watching. The two teams spot each other. In the confusion, someone alerts Mengele. He vanishes. Both teams blame each other. Mengele dies in 1979, swimming at a beach. He drowns alone. No justice, no trial. Just an old Nazi dying of a stroke in warm water. Both the Soviets and Israelis had tracked him for 34 years. Neither got him. The 1970s bring computers. Everything changes. Before, the Soviets kept paper files, millions of them. Finding one name took weeks. Now, they digitize everything. 20 million documents, every SS member, every sighting, every alias, every contact. Search time drops from weeks to seconds. They share data with unlikely partners. The Simon Wiesenthal Center in Los Angeles, Jewish documentation centers in Paris, even some CIA officers who hate Nazis more than communists. The results are immediate. Johann Voss, former SS guard at Mauthausen, lived quietly in Cleveland for 25 years. The computer links his immigration papers to his SS file. He's deported to Germany in 1978, dies in prison. Gustav Wagner, Sobibor's deputy commander, hid in Brazil since 1950. The computer connects witness testimonies to recent photos. Brazilian police arrest him in 1980. He dies before trial. Some say suicide, others say Mossad. But the biggest breakthrough comes from an unexpected source. The Berlin Wall falls. Suddenly, the Stasi's files are available. 14,000 garbage bags of shredded documents. 600 million pieces of paper. But also intact files on 12,000 SS officers the West never knew about. Karl Linnaeus ran a concentration camp in Estonia. He personally shot Jews into ditches. He's been living in Long Island, New York since 1951. Working as a land surveyor, attending church, raising grandchildren. The opened files prove everything. The Americans can't ignore it. They deport him to the Soviet Union in 1987. He's the last Nazi the Soviets ever try. He dies in prison 2 months later, insisting he's innocent. The Soviet Union collapses in 1991. The KGB becomes the FSB. Russia inherits the files. The hunt officially ends. Or does it? 70 years. 3 generations of hunters. 250,000 names on the original list. The Soviets captured thousands, executed hundreds, turned dozens into double agents, exposed Western hypocrisy, used Nazi hunting as a Cold War weapon. But here's the bitter truth. Most SS men died free. They became grandfathers, respected citizens. They went to church. They forgot what they did, or pretended to. In dusty Moscow basements, filing cabinets hold yellowing folders. Names never crossed off, faces never found, crimes never punished. The last Soviet agent who worked these cases died in 2012. He was 93. He kept searching until the end. Today, historians estimate fewer than 10 SS war criminals are still alive. All over 95. All beyond justice. But their files remain open. Somewhere in Russia, in Israel, in Germany, someone still watches, still waits. Because some hunts never end. They just pass to the next generation. The hunters taught us something. Evil men can run. They can hide. They can change their names. They can fool governments, but they can't escape memory. And memory, it turns out, is the ultimate hunter. What began as Stalin's revenge became humanity's longest manhunt. It outlived the Soviet Union. It outlived most of the criminals. It outlived the hunters themselves. But it never outlived the need for justice. If you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe for more fascinating World War II historical deep dives every week. Thanks for watching.